Sheets is
I'm getting organized. I'll be right
we
back.
got Sheets getting organized. Guys, want to start off by saying just a massive shout out to Rody. I know that like Rody's a killer, and he's had a couple of, he's won tickets. He's got some things going on. He's got the big final coming up, but it's been a little while since he took a big one down, and he almost took down the whole thing last night in the 111 with just a few entries. Pretty sick. And big shout out to Rody. Couldn't be happier for the guy. Massive congratulations to him. And yeah, you couldn't have asked for anything better. We've got a nice morning slate. Yeah, we're gonna jump into to all that once we get a few more people in here. And let's have a big day, guys. This is a really good slate. We've got this. Me and Sheets will be recording for the night slate afterwards. We've got golf going on. But big stuff from Rody last night, and really love to see it. Sheets won the big one about 10 days ago, and I guess it's my turn. Right? I think I gotta win one to keep up with the True DFS crew here, because it's been a little bit everybody else is doing their part, and I keep getting my third and fourths and tenths and ninths and stuff like that, but not nearly quite what you want. So we'll get into the slate in just a minute. It is, for a small slate, I think this is an awesome slate. I think you have a lot of different options, a lot of ways you can go. And especially at pitching, I feel like we just have like a slew of options. And I'm thinking about maybe changing up what I was going to do a little bit, because to start it off, I think that this is very clearly the Mets are far and away the top stack. I also really like San Diego. But I am going to be very heavy, as we do on small slates. We like to try to go after a little Robbie Ray, and I am certainly going to be a part of that today. And I am in a New York state of mind, so I am going to be playing both sides of the New York game.
Wait, New York? I hear New York as I'm walking in here. What's going on?
Yeah, I said I'm in a New York state of mind. I know we have the Mets as chalk, but you know who? I don't think we're going to have any Yankees chalk, and I am very, very happy to load up on the Yankees along with the Mets, and that's pretty much what I'm going to do today.
So as I was just leaving my office for a second, I overheard you talking about Rody last night. What, he got second in the 1-1-1?
Yeah, and he only had 3 entries, I believe, in that too. You can enter, I think you can enter 133 times in that tournament. So that's a no small feat, right there.
That's $10,000, man. That's a lot.
And people do it. A lot of people did it. It's what we preach here. Sheets. I was saying that Sheets won the big one with the 10 days ago with 1 entry. Rody winning this one or coming in second with 3 entries. This is what we do. And if you aren't a part of this, please join us now. And I'll drop our Discord link and everything. But great job again to Rody. And
Rody, keep after it. You'll win one day. Don't worry about it. Don't be so mad.
Hey, I'm the one who needs to win. I got to keep.
I really wish that it was the 1-1-1. What I got to do to really rub it into Rody is find a tournament that tournament would have won, and just say, you should have entered into this one. That's like a Rodyism. So I have to give that one back to him somehow. But I didn't really take a look at it yet.
That's pretty funny.
But I don't think there was anything he could have entered that would have made more money.
I don't think there is anything. I think you're right about that.
Right.
But yeah, massive shout out. And by the way, just want to show you, even on big slates, you can play some chalk. And I think
I looked at that lineup. That lineup was all chalk.
It was one of the more chalky lineups you could see in a 111 winning. The Colorado side, it's kind of a wonky one. It's not. It's more like it looks more like a Bobby Fye lineup than a Rody lineup with the 3 1-offs and all that stuff. But what do? You combine Atlanta with the Crone 1-off, and basically just got the nuts there. He had the Bieber Cole connection, which was terrific. So thrilled to see it for Rody, and ready to get after it today.
So what were you talking about today? As I walked in, you're talking about Robbie Ray, or what's?
I'm talking about. Look, it's a small slate. That's when we like to pick on him. We've got the obvious one chalk. We've got the San Diego secondary chalk. I think that they're actually going to be little. Because of the pricing, I think that Machado and Soto will be owned. But
no, you got to start over. So let's pretend that all I've done is run projections. I haven't built a lineup. I reserved dummy lineups. So let's start back from the beginning. So pitching, who are you using, or who would you recommend? Because the way I'm looking
Everyone.
at things might be different. So who are you looking at with DraftKings pitching?
The way I've got it ranked right now is Woodruff, Springs, then Steele, and then I have Josiah Gray because of the ownership. I think he is going to be way too low owned for an awesome spot. Really talented guy who has had some. I mean, he had to face Philly and the Dodgers and even St. Louis. Like these are not. He gets to face the Cubs today with a little wind blowing in. I would be happy to take my big shot with Josiah Gray here, but I'm sort of debating between Josiah Gray, Justin Steele, and Jeffrey Springs as my secondary pitcher. And I will be look, if you're not going to play the Yankees, I think you could absolutely play Robbie Ray. I think Robbie Ray has the potential to get just completely rocked here. So I'm going to be very, 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 very high.
I have Robbie Ray ranked 9th, so I don't even have him in play.
There's tons of good pitching though. I mean, it's legitimately there's only 3 pitchers that I don't think are good options. So
well, let me tell you who I have. Just on first look, and then you can talk me off them. So I have Woodruff as the best. But then ahead of Steele, I got some other cheapo. I got Paul Blackburn. I don't know. And then and just behind Steele, I have an above Springs. I have Taijuan Walker, Minaya, and Josiah Gray. And then I also have Cortez in play. I mean, I have a lot of options here. What about those cheapos like Blackburn?
I think Steele is the clear one you'd use if you wanted to pick one of them. But
okay.
Well, I mean, just in terms of talent, he's just. I mean, he pitched 4 innings in his last outing. He had 10 strikeouts. He's got great strikeout stuff against maybe the worst offense in baseball at the moment, or certainly one of the 3 or 4 worst.
And do we have wind blowing in? Maybe
a little wind blowing in. But there's some risk with him. Like he doesn't throw a ton of pitches. He doesn't work deep into games. But I do think Blackburn is completely. Hey, look, Blackburn, the A's only All-Star this year, which is kind of amazing to think about. But it is the Angels, and the Angels are terrible. So I certainly understand the paying down for Blackburn, especially because I'm trying to fix my Mets in here with the Yankees. It's going to be hard to do without spending down a little bit. So I don't mind if you want to fade Woodruff. I don't mind if people want to do that at all. But I think you could make a Blackburn and Steele lineup. You could make a Jeffrey Springs and I'm lower on Walker than maybe the field is. Well, I'm not going to play any Walker, to be honest, and I don't think I'm going to play any Minaya either.
Well, you know what? If you're not playing any of him, then you're definitely lower than the field.
Yeah, that's right. But I like the idea of maybe Springs, either Springs Woodruff or maybe a Springs and I think Springs and Gray is probably where I end up in my big buy-in. I'm not playing a ton of tournaments in the morning, but
I'm kind of liking this Gray idea of yours.
Yeah, I just think that the upside is immense. For what it's worth, we do have the one extreme pitchers, the only extreme umpire of any kind who's an extreme pitchers umpire in the Woodruff Springs game, and you also have the number 1 and 3 guys in strikeout props on the slate in that game, and Springs and Woodruff. So that's the natural ones I would use. And fading Woodruff is a little bit scary to me because I think he has a massive ceiling. But the truth is, I think that there's a lot of guys who are cheaper who could end up with a similar type of ceiling or who have a similar type of ceiling. Got a question here in the chat from these guys. A lot of love for the Giants today. Who loves the Giants? I would like to hear who that is because I haven't seen any love for the Giants particularly.
Well, let me share with you who I come up with. At least my first look is, and I'm going to build some lineups too.
Okay,
I do have the Mets as the best option, and I do have them the highest owned. All right, so that checks out, right? And then the next one I have is the Padres.
Yep.
And I have them kind of tied with secondary ownership with, I don't know how this is possible, but the Cubs. Are people playing the Cubs today?
Well, the Cubs, because anybody you're facing in Washington is terrible, so it's pretty easy to try to pick on.
If that's the case, and Josiah Gray we like,
the bullpen is terrible. Yeah, I like that. I don't know if the Cubs are going to get that much ownership though.
I can't imagine. But then I have the Yankees. I have the Yankees rated behind the Mets and San Diego, but I have them a solid third. And as you said, I mean, I don't have them. I mean, they're going to get owned just because they're Yankees or whatever, but they're not going to get
I don't think they're going to be that owned.
a
Yeah.
lot of ownership. Yeah, I have them like, listen, it's a shortest slate, right? So I have them getting less owned than the Padres, obviously less than the Mets. I have them less than the Cubs. I have them. Are people? Wait, who are people? People playing the Angels today? No. It's Ohtani maybe. Okay.
I think that the Angels will have Ohtani and maybe Ward. The Angels are fine. I don't think there's any problem about playing the Angels here personally.
All right,
but
so let me just finish. So just so you know that leverage score thing that I keep alluding to, that where I just kind of combine both ownership and leverage and stuff. The two teams that I have as leading that metric is one is Milwaukee, and the other one to satisfy the chat is San Francisco. So there you go. You found someone who can recommend San Francisco.
Well, I'm not saying that San Francisco. I just was saying that there's no love for San Francisco out there.
I'll give you a little. I'll give you a little.
No. But I'm saying so. When somebody says there's a lot of love, that means that they're being owned. That's absolutely
they won't be owned at all. That's why they're showing up as a leverage play.
Exactly.
Who does Milwaukee play?
Milwaukee's playing Tampa Bay and Springs.
Oh, right. Okay, got it. Okay.
And I, that's fine. You can go with that. I don't think Springs is going to be like crazy owned or anything. I think he'll have some ownership. Okay. Probably the second most talented pitcher, I would say, on the slate. And just, you always worry, like with Tampa, they bring guys along slowly. He probably doesn't get to work too far into games. He's usually in the mid 80s. They've thrown 100 pitches a couple times this season. One time this season, I should say. But terrific stuff against a Milwaukee team that can strike out. They also have some bats that you'd worried about. But Jeffrey Springs is he's the real deal. He's going to be really good. I'm leaning towards Springs, and again, then you get to, in terms of just straight arm talent, you could talk about Manaea, Cortez, Robbie Ray, but I really think that Josiah Gray in the next couple of years is going to be an all-star, and I like the idea of getting ahead of the field on him here. So I am probably going to end up in my big buy-in fading Woodruff and playing Jeffrey Springs and Josiah Gray.
All right, Rich, you have with your question, you are going to you've encouraged me to do something which I've been meaning to do, and it's probably going to be a train wreck. But I'm going to try it. First, I have to log into my account here.
Well, yeah. What
I'm going to tell you in a second. Okay. All right. So I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
Let's see. Share screen. Let's share this one. Share, and we'll put this. Okay, so Rich, you mentioned that the Giants were the contrarian play based off other touts. So we actually have a tool, which I literally don't know how to use, okay? That actually searches YouTube for mentions of players throughout the entire industry. Now, let me just click on it. Let's see if we can't figure this out, okay? So this was Evan's creation, okay? And when you're here on this tool site, you can enter in allegedly a keyword, and it will come up with all the mentions of this team or that player or whatever in YouTube chats throughout the industry. So if I put in Giants, okay, we're getting mostly NFL. All right, so MLB. We have a couple of them. Musgrove. Is Musgrove playing the Giants today?
No, that was yesterday.
That was yesterday. Look at the price now a little bit.
It's going to be hard, though, because most people haven't recorded videos for today.
That's true. That's true.
So
but this is something that you can mess around with is that and here is kind of like this weird keyword thing where if you click in, like, say, MLB, it'll come up with the most commonly referenced player, I guess, in YouTube videos. Now, as you mentioned, there's not a lot of YouTube videos yet for today. So you'll see stuff like Carrasco, it was from yesterday, Bieber from yesterday. But as it starts to pile up, they'll become more popular, I guess. So, like, for example, if you clicked on Bieber, maybe, let's click to copy. I don't know. But what you could do is you go into any of these different things. Like if you wanted to click through, say, I don't know, through the Run Pure Sports one, it'll go right to that part, I imagine,
Yep.
in the video, if we're lucky, and exactly where you mentioned that. So
yeah, this is an awesome tool.
Because once we get this down, once I can get Evan on here to explain a little better, this is something you talk about, things that nobody else has. I promise you, nobody has this.
Yes, there's not one other site that does this, and you can find the exact part of every video throughout the industry and how many times they're being mentioned for individual players, for teams, for whatever it is. It is an awesome tool. Yeah. We're going to do a video with Evan and show you guys how to use it a little bit better, but it is a really, really cool thing that we can use that I think we offer that no one else does. Not to mention just actually saying who we're playing, which is something no one else does. By the way, and like she said, I think the Giants, it's not that I don't think the Giants are viable. I know everybody thinks, I don't know, there's a lot of negative talk about Manaea. I'll still go on the same thing I always say about him. He's going to give up home runs. He's still very talented. But don't let the fact that the Dodgers lit him up get to you, because that's just
not only that, but don't forget also is that there's a certain thing where if a pitcher or anything fails as chalk when everybody's on him, it gets way more attention than when he fails normally, you know. So Manaea was a big piece of chalk a couple of starts ago, and people got stung. So people all of a sudden say Manaea sucks, you know.
Yeah. Which
is
the dumbest
like some random game where nobody played him, they would say, "Oh, it's his variance," but because everybody played him, he sucks.
Right, and it was Detroit. He had a bad game against Detroit, so how can you be good and you play? And you can't even get guys in Detroit out. Whatever. But I think there's no problem. And to be honest, I do have one Giant as my one-off is Brandon Crawford because he's minimum cost. And even in a lefty-lefty matchup, I'll take it. I just need the 2K because I want to play Aaron Judge and I want to play Yankees and Mets, and in order to do that, you kind of have to get a little bit, got to get some savings somewhere. So that's what I'm doing over there. Good morning to my man, Eric Johnson over there. And yeah, look, I have no problem with the Giants, but I really like this Yankees idea. This is the spots that I like to look at for them. You have a patient team against a guy in Ray who, I mean, look, they've hit 6 home runs and 100 at bats against them. That's a smallish sample size. Judge has 3 home runs and 7 at bats off of him, which is pretty crazy. So I really like the idea of playing the Yankees. And outside of Judge, I don't see anyone except for maybe Donaldson. Donaldson and Glaber might be around the 10% range, but for a small slate, that's certainly reasonable. And Trevino at the moment, assuming that he does bat his normal 6th or 7th against the lefty, I think that he's going to be my favorite catching option today. So I'm very big, and that's what I'm going to be doing is New York for me today. And I have no problem if anybody wants to. There is going to be the explosion game from the Padres at some point. This could be the day. And we also don't have lineups out yet for most of these games because it's sort of like a long break after the first one for the games I want to play anyway. So actually, you have the hour between the Mets and the Brewers, which that game we have the lineups. We have the lineups for the Mets and the Cubs and Nationals. Just a little bit of wind blowing in, by the way. It's only 6 miles an hour. But I'm going to do the Josiah Gray thing along with Jeffrey Springs, and I'm going to play Yankees and Mets and with a one-off of Brandon Crawford. That's basically my plan for the day. Sheets. What do you think you're looking at in terms of your projections? What do you think you're going to end up doing?
Well, I want to mention to what's his name, to Evan. I don't think the DraftKings projections came into SaberSim or something. I don't know what's going on.
They look all right to me.
In SaberSim, no, it's the same as SaberSim's projections.
No, it's a little bit different. Sure? Yeah, positive. I'm looking at it. It's a 4.4 percentage points off on Walker.
The actual
projection. Oh, but the ownership. It'd be weird for the ownership to transfer over, but not the actual projection.
Let me see what I did something wrong on my end. Let me just see on my end if I don't have any projections here for some reason. No, I have. Hold on. Early. No, I don't know what happened. My I uploaded the sheet, and it didn't make it even to the True DFS site. I don't want to bother him. It's like so annoying though. The salary didn't come in.
Don't worry about it for the main slate. I think it's probably getting probably too late for the morning slate because I don't know how many people can run projections in the next 40 minutes.
No, I know, but I think it's annoying. Okay.
I mean, I'm just throwing that out there because I think we should, just focus on like.
Well, I
get
want to upload my own stuff and I can't do it. it's like
that is weird. I don't know anything about that. Boy, I'm really the gray thing is starting to feel a little like it feels shaky when you look at the game. I mean, I get why the Cubs would get some ownership. I mean, this guy's given up like how many home runs is he given? He's averaging what, almost 2.5 per 6 innings over his last 7 starts. I don't care if he gives up some home runs. I think that he's got a chance to strike out 9-10 guys today. And I think that it wouldn't surprise me at all if he was the top pitcher on the slate. So I'm going to take my Josiah Gray chance. What I would recommend but I truly don't think you can go all that wrong with basically any of these pitching options outside of like Tuki Toussaint, TJ Zook, and Eunice. I think everybody else is very firmly in play, and I have no problem with any of them. If whichever way you want to go, I think that they're all reasonable. But I am going to take my chance with the low-owned Josiah Gray and the fairly lowish owned Jeffrey Springs. So I like what I'm doing today with that. That's what I'm going to do, and then I might just fade Woodruff in my big one, even though
I do have to put this in the Discord. It's like
everybody's talking about the Giants. Maybe the Giants are going to end up owned. Every question so far, every thought has come about the Giants. It's fine. I have no real interest in it, to be honest with you. I have the prices are reasonable. So of course they're popping because they make sense because of JD Davis and Brandon Crawford. You have wins at minimum cost at catcher. There's a lot of value over there for that. I mean, they have literally nobody who costs any money. So I have no problem with the Giants, but I'm not, it's certainly like, I don't look at this slate and go, oh, I really want to play the Giants. I'd rather play the Yankees at similar ownership than I would the Giants. Just always, I'm probably always going to choose that. And I don't think this matchup is as good as everyone else seems to think it is, but I have no problem with any of the Giants. And like I said, I do have some one-offs and some guys from there just because of the pricing is so good. JD Davis is just an absolute. JD Davis is projected, I believe, to have 2.2 at bats today, which is like one of the lowest numbers you're ever going to see for hitter. This is what the Giants do. They just will mow everybody out, bring in a whole new stack of guys. I have Brandon Crawford in my mock lineup right now. I don't even know if he's who knows if he even plays in the lefty. They do so much weird stuff in San Francisco, and they kind of have to because they suck. Judge is a good play. There's no such thing as an auto play in baseball. One thing I hate, I just want to go on a little quick rant. I cannot stand how many people use the word lock anymore. Nobody actually means it. Nobody ever locks anybody in. It's the truth. Everybody says this guy's a lock button. This guy's a lock button.
You have to do if you're gonna do it, you got to do it. With Steve and I, it's really a lock. You got to say like LOQUE. You know what I mean? Like it's like gotta be a real like a lock. Like you can't just say anything's a lock.
Right. No, it's
Eric is not saying. See, Eric's not calling it a lock. He's saying it's an auto. See, it's a same thing. Same thing.
Yeah. But no, I don't think that I have Judge in my lineups right now, so I like him obviously. But anybody is a lock in baseball. I don't believe in it. Every now and then there'll be an occasional pitcher where that is an actual lock button. In basketball, every now and then there's a guy who's a backup point guard who's 3K who's starting because there's 3 guards out for the team or something. That's the lock button kind of stuff. But in general, I just don't think lock button things really exist. And I don't think there's such thing as auto plays either, personally. But am I using them? Yes. And it's for, last night was wild, by the way. There was a lot of ways, talk about a lot of ways, different ways to skin a cat. Like there was a lot of offenses that it kind of exploded last night. And yet Rhodey won it with Colorado scored 16 runs and Rhodey won it with only one player from Colorado in his stack, which is, or finished second with only one player in his stack, which
That's
is pretty
awesome.
Amazing. Yeah. But it's how you score too. It's something I always try to remind people. You're not trying to pick the team that scores the most runs. It's like in poker, you're not trying to win the most pots. You know what I mean?
Right,
if you're winning 10% of the pots, but the ones you win are twice the size of everybody else's, that's a certain style. You want to play the teams that are going to do it through the home runs. And, that's why I'm very high on the Yankees today, especially. Let's see what else we got here. Who had a good night, Eric. The team that you were saying was a terrible play was Atlanta. Atlanta was the team that I think actually they may have, with their 5-man stack, accrued the most fantasy points of any stack. even though they only scored 9 runs versus 16, only 9 runs. But but I mean, that's a good example of Rhodey playing a fairly, a chalky-ish build on his main stack, but they got different enough with the one-offs who Rhodey says he never gets right. He certainly got him right yesterday. So good for him.
He sure did.
And the Dodgers were a great stack, Eric. They did it. Steals. You get the steals and the triples too. The triples, you're never going to bet on a team for triples, but steals in general, steals and home runs. That's what you're looking for in general, obviously.
All right, so I'm finally at least at a point where I can make a build here. I told you guys I was behind, right? So now I'm making a build, and I'll let you know what, based on at least my numbers, because I had to do it the hard way now. Okay, so at least I have good projections here. Let me see what I would actually come up with if I made no changes, and I will make changes. But if I just ran SaberSim with my numbers, and I gave myself a little bit of ownership fade. I'm just trying to think of who I'm going to end up with. I imagine. So you know what SaberSim loves to do? They love to do this pitcher correlation. I have a feeling I'm going to get some Taijuan Walker and Mets. I think that's what's going to end up happening. But that doesn't mean I have to do that. But that.
In general, I always love it if I can do that. You know what I mean? That's something I always try to. If there's a way to do it, like if I'm playing multiple lineups, like last night, although I ended up kind of messing it up. Like I wanted to play Toronto, it obviously didn't work out. But play Toronto if you're going to play Manoah. If you're going to play Manoah, play him in that stack. You know what I mean? That's the way I would always try to get it like that if I could. The only thing I worry about is Josiah Gray. I just want to throw something out here who I love tonight. What worries me is not that he's been just lit up a bunch of times. I think he's still got tremendous stuff, and I like the matchup and all that stuff. What worries me about him is when do they sort of start semi-shutting him down? I mean, he's a big part of their future. Nothing really to play for. Are they going to stop him at 80 pitches through, I don't know, 5 innings? That kind of stuff worries me at this time of the year a little bit as we get into, getting into the stretch. It's my one big negative. But again, it's a smaller slate and he's going to be low owned. I'm going to go for it. So
I agree with that. I like it. I think the Steel Gray thing. Listen, I do. And what kind of umpire do we have there? Anything?
Just a no, but nothing.
But we got a little wind.
Tiny bit of wind blowing in, 6 miles an hour, nothing special.
So if I, this is why I don't try to predict what SaberSim is going to do. So I'll give everybody a guess. If everybody had to guess who my top 2 stacks are. So I would have one stack. The Mets I would have 43% owned. Okay. And I have another team that's 46% owned. Anybody want to take a guess for like 50 cents?
Is it the Angels or Oakland?
Angels or Oakland. So Bobby's coming in with Angels or Oakland. He could be right. I just want to give other people a chance.
The Cubs are too obvious.
Cubs are too obvious. I bet Sheets is stacking Tampa. Okay. That's certainly, and I'm not going to try not to give anything away until I get a couple of more things. Justin Goldberg says Padres. I'll give one more. There's one more person in here. Rhodey, you want to put one in here? Want to put a guess? Okay. Correct answer is obviously the Reds.
You know what?
I thought I was going to get all the Taijuan Walker, but instead,
not exactly a bad spot here for the Reds. Terrible lineup, obviously, but you get Senzel, India, and Votto, and I think that you can throw in. I don't know. You could throw in a Farmer. It's kind of weird if you look at these guys versus right-handed pitching this year. So Farmer has 1 home run in 110 at bats. That's not good. Joey Votto is reasonable. 9 home runs, 217 at bats. You got Jonathan India, 7 home runs, 158 at bats. Very solid. Jonathan India actually looks like a fine play. Senzel has 2 home runs and 189 at bats. This is, I mean, you could do it. I wouldn't go for
I will just say this, and again, listen. I will say this loudly. Of all of the times that I've hit these big ones or whatever, especially in baseball, every single one that I've had has been some ridiculous team that I never would have played. I mean, it's just the way it is. So that's just maybe again my instincts are probably just too chalky and normal, I guess.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, you never. I mean, like, why not? I'm not opposed to it, especially in the lottery.
That's the beautiful thing about baseball. Like nobody can ever say any stack's a bad play.
Right.
Unless it's like really chalky and awful. You know what I mean? But like,
yeah, I mean, you could do it. The thing is, like, how often do the Reds win this slate as a 5-man stack?
I just need it to happen once.
Exactly, and it's probably. But even if they win it, even if they score the most runs, the odds of them getting like.
Right.
I mean, you're just talking about guys who you're talking to, like, we literally have enough of a sample size where you're starting to talk about like what an average of like 1 home run per 75 at bats. So it would be really, really hard for them to do it. But it is baseball.
Right.
There's ways it could happen, and there's chances that nobody else hits home runs for anybody else.
And excuse me, but one of the big hits I had this year was these aforementioned Reds.
That's true. That's true. It was in Cincinnati, in all fairness, but yes, that's true.
Yes, it was. Excuse me, this is in New York. I also, by the way, it is definitely a little cooler here today, by the way, than it has been. The weather broke last night, and I can tell every day it's been like 100 degrees. Today it's finally like reasonable out, which is probably it's like worse for hitting. You know, it's like,
yeah, I hear you. I'm sort of into my final decision. Today on my big lineup came down to a Woodruff and Guillorme as a part of a 4-man Met stack, or Donaldson and Gray to give me a 4-man Yankee stack to go with a 3-man Mets, and that's what I ended up going with.
I think that's what I'm ended up doing. I think I am going to, and I've tried this before with no success, but I think I might try the good old Citi Field game stack and see what happens.
Why not?
We'll go with the Grant, whatever his name is, the Grant Nefer Taiwan Walker's a fraud game. We'll try that one.
Everyone says it all the time. It's pretty hilarious to me.
So let me tell you, by the way, who the pitching. Wow, pitching. I definitely have a bunch of Woodruff, and then my second highest is Manaea, and then Steele, and right. I do have some Gray. So yeah, look at this. So who's out? Is Alfaro? Why do I have Alfaro in my lineups?
Taiwan Walker went. By the way, he's given up some home runs lately. He's given up 5 home runs his last 3 games, which obviously is a lot. Before that, he had given up, I think, 4 home runs in his previous
35 appearances.
And everybody was saying every time he started, it's going to regret. And then they all get to do the victory lap when it happens, because you know what's going to happen? Everybody in baseball is going to have bad days. Yep. There is not anybody who is immune to them. So it's just funny. Let's see what else we got here. I'm not playing any Walker for what it's worth, but I certainly understand it. In fact, Josiah Gray over Walker feels a little thin when you just look at the numbers, but I'll take it with the ownership and everything. All things being considered, I think it's worth taking that shot there. You know what? I think Alonso oddly enough, Alonso might end up being one of the lowest owned Mets today because of his.
Is he over 6? Is he like 6K or something?
61, and you've got Vogelbach at 39. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I could easily see him being, he could easily end up being one of the lowest owned ones.
You know who's an interesting low owned? This is really low owned first baseman. I mean, if you don't want to play either of those guys, this is tough. I have a little mini Seattle stack somewhere. Ty France is 4,700. Who's playing Ty France at 4,700? Nobody, right?
I don't think anybody's playing anybody from Seattle personally. Maybe right. Haniger is the only one. Haniger is that.
Dude, that was a good call by you. You deserve better, because we both ended up in last in the big one the other night. I mean, yeah. I think I was in last. You were in second to last or something. But Haniger certainly hit the home run.
Yeah, I got my home run call right at least. That was. Yeah,
I think I had a total of 14 points in that lineup. I think.
Yeah. Sure. Eric, I'm going to speak for Sheets here and just say, when you say you're secondary with the Reds, I don't think Sheets is building a lineup trying to stack the Reds. I think this is talking about Saber Sim, right?
Yeah. But Eric, come on, you. Eric probably has 75 different screens going on right now, because I literally just said what I was doing. So when you say who's your secondary with the Reds, I'm doing a full game stack at Citi Field. So,
Yeah.
so that means that the secondary with the Reds is the primary with the Reds, and that would be the Mets. So,
Yep.
so I'm playing Mets, Reds.
The Reds
more,
for you are like
any more transparent than that.
The Reds for Sheets, and by the way, I probably should play the Reds because Sheets is they're your Diamondbacks from last year that you were convinced that the team was being everybody's on the Diamondbacks. That's right. The Diamondbacks, meanwhile, lowest ISO versus right-handed pitching, third highest K rate versus it was just like hilarious. This is your Reds thing today, but look, it works out sometimes. This is baseball. You know what I mean? You don't have to get everything.
Listen, I can't be like Rhodey and play like all these Cardinals and Rockies and stuff and get the right combination. I can't do that. I gotta play terrible teams. Listen, I've tried it. I've tried to do this where I play, you know, and this happened several times this year, like especially when the Dodgers were in Colorado and like all this stuff and like and all, I mean, you know what? This is the time where I'm just gonna lock these guys in and just hope I get the right combination. And it's just so hard. It's like one guy hits a home run that you don't have, like you like just whatever, and then when you hit a home run, you move up like 3 points and like 3 places.
Yeah, it is really hard.
Jesus Christ. And then sometimes when you have like a guy that hit 2 home runs and you're like, yes, I'm really killing it. Then like he hits another one, it doesn't help you because everybody else has it. Yeah. That's right. It's like so.
No, it's right.
Yeah, the one team that I had that was starting to make a little and this is a good example. Last night I cashed in like I played 2 entries in the FanDuel 222 or whatever it is. And one of them I cashed in and it was because I had these freaking wild Texas stacks. That got there, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so like, whoa, you know, and because when a Texas guy that nobody owns, like I had this idiot like number 8 guy who had a stolen base, whoever Thompson.
Oh, I don't know who it was.
He made a stolen base at like 1% ownership, and then my lineup went like straight, you know, all the way up the ladder.
Yeah.
Where you have the same guy in the Colorado hits the 3rd home of the day. I mean, like it's whatever.
Yep.
But yeah, so this is this looks like it's going to be a fun one, I think.
Yeah.
But you know, it's good because I'll have my eye on one game. I'll look at the Met game, and I'll right off the bat, I'll have India coming right out first batter of the game, right? You know, let's get on base, let's go.
You jump out to it, yeah. Yeah.
Single. Joey Votto home run. Let's go. We're famous.
I love it. All right, Cheats. Well, we can get out of here whenever. You know you're still building, but like I'm ready to record the night video whenever you want to.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. All right, I'll send it to you and you can just jump on whenever. Guys, good luck today. Let's have a big slate. I'll be live later again at 6 Eastern. I believe it's 6 Eastern for the main slate or for the later slate, I should say. Yes, it is. I'll be 6 Eastern. And we'll record a video now. We also are going to be recording some golf, so look out for that. Remember to jump on into the Discord, which I'm going to just really quickly pop down in here because people have asked me for it a couple times today, and I've been sending it individually, so I may as well type it in here. And there we go. All right. Good luck to everybody today, and let's make some money. More roadie screenshots. Let's go.
Let's go. Well, let's get it, right?
Let's get it. Yeah, let's get it.
We got to have the hat. We got to have the let's get it hat.
I know. She says the LFG, roadie. We got to get